When I first started as an undergraduate student in the early 80s, it was a time of intense political tension, and I think as a young undergraduate student I was naturally drawn to those issues and those debates, and then increasingly I began to read the work of some key thinkers in the field, and that really was the kind of moment when my thinking about peace and conflict studies as an area really switched. Obviously, there is a particular resonance for the field here, given that the school in its original incarnation was created as a living memorial to the events of May 4th, to try and get something positive out of those events. I mean, one of the things that has really struck me since taking on the position of director of the school is the extent to which people back in the UK, when I said, oh, I'm going to go to Kent State University, there's a clear name recognition there. You know, amongst people who you would have thought, you know, wouldn't necessarily be aware of May 4th and all that goes around that. The curriculum here at Kent State is very practice orientated. So it's very focused on developing the skills that students will need, whether they go into a field of work that's very directly dealing with questions of peace and conflict, or whether they go into, you know, just an ordinary job that doesn't ostensibly deal with peace and conflict issues. But we know that within our own working environments, any working environment, people are dealing with the issues of peace, conflicts. You have to mediate, you have to engage in conflict resolution. I think at the end of the Cold War, there was a brief moment when there was a sense in some quarters that we didn't really need certainly peace studies anymore, because the Berlin Wall had come down, the Soviet Union had disappeared, and you know there were no big threats to peace and security out there anymore. I think if, to the extent that that was the opinion, I think the events of the last decade or so have made it clear that we still do need to study the drivers of peace and conflict, what causes peace, what causes conflict, and more importantly, how do we prevent conflict happening, how do we resolve conflict, and how do we build a better and more secure world for the future.